Great. Okay, welcome everyone to this fortnightly session on cost of living and poverty reduction support. Great to have you all here. And we've got one presentation today from Minka, who is from Ella's, and then we'll have time for Q&A and a discussion at the end. So I'm going to pass over to Minka. Please take it away.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. So shall I share my slides? Don't know if this is going to work. Is that working? Can everyone see that?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. Okay. Oops. Oh gosh, what's that?
Yeah, you're all good.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so I'm Minka. I'm one of the co-directors of Ella's. We're a small but growing charity based in London, and we support women who've exited situations of trafficking and sexual exploitation. Our mission is to do everything we can to ensure survivors of trafficking and exploitation have what they need to rebuild their lives. And at the moment, we offer safe house accommodation, one-to-one casework support for each of the women in our caseload, and community-based support as well. So we offer the casework to residents in our safe houses, but also to those living in the community. So we have an outreach caseload as well. At the moment, we have 3 safe houses. One of them is based in Hackney, and that's a 5-bed HMO or shared house. And then there's one in Lambeth and one in Tower Hamlets as well. So what's trafficking? I think most of you probably know, but yeah, we see it as when people are forced or manipulated into working for the profits of others. And often this is in abusive situations. There are lots and lots and lots of people trapped in modern slavery today. It's hard to say exactly how many, because a lot of it goes unseen and unrecorded. But most of the people stuck in trafficking or slavery are women and children, unfortunately. And a vast majority of those are being exploited in the sex trade. So those are the women predominantly who we work with, is women who have experienced trafficking through the sex trade. We do also support women who have experienced other types of violence through domestic servitude or other forms of exploitation. But the majority has come from sex trafficking. So who are the women we work with at the moment? We work with about 50 women and their families. There's a lot of children in our caseload. We don't have any children in our safe houses at the moment. Oh, sorry. Oh gosh. We don't have any women in our safe houses at the moment, but the women who we support in the community do often have children as well, who we then sort of count as half a case, because they still take a lot of casework support, but not quite as much as a survivor. And we take only women over 18 into our caseload. Often they're sort of between age 26 and 30, so like in their sort of 30s, late 20s. They can be from all around the world, including British survivors. We work with quite a few now who've either been trafficked abroad and then come back, or trafficked domestically. And we get referrals from a number of different places, but predominantly from safe houses who are under the government contract for aftercare. So the government provides a certain amount of a safe house accommodation after someone has been identified as a victim of trafficking. They get a sort of period of aftercare, but often, and the reason why Ella's set up in the first place is that support isn't long enough, or comprehensive enough, or trauma informed enough. So that's why we exist, and we get a lot of referrals from government safe houses who say they have to move on this person, but they're still very vulnerable. And so, do we have any space in the safe house for them, because that's really what they need, long-term aftercare. The women we work with, they've experienced some of the worst things you can experience as a human. So the recovery process is, as you can imagine, very long. It takes a lot of time. There's a lot of mental health complexities and lots and lots of barriers to, building that life up again. Some of those barriers include immigration status. What we've actually found is it's really hard to even begin the recovery journey when you don't have that immigration status yet, or when that's uncertain. If you're living with the thought that maybe you could be sent back to the country where you've been, sold into trafficking, where the people are who may be kind of looking for you, where you feel unsafe, that you can't begin to think about other things and moving on. The other big one, it's kind of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's that, housing, if you don't have stable housing, or the housing where you're living isn't suitable, it's really hard to, again, focus on, other elements of your life. And then mental health is a big one, of course. We found that is also really complex and difficult to navigate, and as I said, just takes a really long time. And then there's other things, like a lot of the women we work with have huge education gaps, and therefore haven't, developed the kind of skills that most people have developed in, growing up. Language issues, people coming from abroad, and then having a community and support, is so important. To anything goes wrong in your life, that's what you need. You need people to support you through that, and if you don't have that, it makes it so much more difficult. Each person we work with has a completely different story, and what our work is so tailored to each, individual person. And when they come to us, we make a very tailored support plan based on what they need, the barriers that they're facing, and the struggles that they're going through. We like to become more and more survivor-led. We say they're the center of everything we do, and we have a survivor panel who meet regularly and help us to shape, our work, and make sure that we are doing what's needed and our work is relevant. We also listen to our service users. We have a survivor on our board of trustees. So and we aim for that to become more and more sort of integral. We also want to explore co-production and work towards, a more and more co-production within the organization. So what does the casework support actually look like? It's very, like I said, it's so individually tailored. It can be very varied what that looks like per person, but it's, a lot of it is accompaniment to appointments. So that could be medical or, plugging into local community-based programs and things, language lessons, kind of just making sure that they are, going through the things that will help them on their recovery journey and supporting them through that. A lot of times women will have to fill out forms that are just so difficult, even for, like I wouldn't be able to fill out, half the forms that you have to fill out sometimes for housing or, legal support, all that stuff. So it's being that person to support through all those things. We've also, done things like family reuniting with family. So we had a woman who was trafficked into the UK from an African country, and she lost touch with her husband and children. She thought she was coming here for work, and then she was being exploited, and she escaped eventually, but her, she lost all contact with everyone back in her home country. So we helped her to find her husband and track him down, and then also to find a way for him and her children to come to the UK. And we actually saw their reunion at the airport, which was just absolutely heartwarming. It was incredible to see the pure joy and the depth of emotions on her face and his face, and the children running into each other's arms. And yeah, so it's really beautiful to be part of moments like that. But a lot of the time it can be very boring filling out forms and the stuff of day-to-day life, I guess. So what's our sort of theory of change, I guess, and what do we kind of look at in terms of measurement and impact measurement is these areas. So mental well-being, physical well-being, safety, economic empowerment, community, and legal protection. Obviously, it's people aren't a tick box exercises, so it's very complex, and we actually find it's quite challenging to monitor progress sometimes with survivors, because it can be 5 steps forward, 4 steps back kind of thing sometimes. But in general, it's a helpful tool to see whether the support that we provide is helpful, and if it's not, then how can we kind of tailor that, or who else can we partner with? So yeah, and it helps us to talk about what we do as well. Yeah, and so that's what we do now. What we want to do more of is language skills and employability programs. So what we found is there are huge education gaps and barriers to employment, but the problem isn't so much that there are loads of employability programs out there, like CV writing, and there's a lot that we could plug women into, and we have done, and there's actually a lot of then volunteer and employment opportunities and programs for women that we do partner with. But the problem is more a mental health barrier to even go to the interview or to even go to the program. So that's one thing we want to look at a little bit more in the next few years is what is that? How can we help build resilience so that, you know, if you have a panic attack at an interview, you know, you can sort of cope with that. So it's almost looking at an earlier stage. And the other thing we're looking into is diversifying our accommodation options. So at the moment, we just have shared houses that are really suitable for single women. We also want to be able to house families and maybe have individual units so that women who have more kind of complex needs can also, you know, who don't tend to do that well in a shared house, that we can also provide accommodation for. And also we're looking into accommodation that's a little bit more long-term, because we found that actually moving on from our safe houses, it can also be challenging for women, and especially in London where, you know, housing provision is quite limited for, you know, council housing is very limited, and it can be then such an uncertain period, which then can really halt the recovery journey. So if we could provide kind of move on flats where women can stay for a longer period of time while they have, you know, keep building on that recovery without so much of our intervention, that's something that we're looking into. And we also have to, you know, we get a lot of referrals for women without any recourse to public funds. And it's something that I know that a lot of organizations struggle with. And we're just keep trying to think of solutions without kind of just, spending a lot of effort into fundraising, which is what we do now. But it's hard to kind of grow that. So yeah, that's us. So please feel free to ask any questions. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Minka. That's really interesting. Does anyone have any questions? I had one actually. Genevieve, do you want to come in?
Oh, that's all right, John. Thank you. Hello, Minka. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing the story of Ella's. It's an amazing organization. I'm sure you know the challenges of housing is something we face London-wide, England-wide. It's real tough times right now. Are you at capacity now for clients, or are you taking referrals now?
We actually are taking referrals at the moment for accommodation. We just opened our third house, so we have a few rooms left to fill in that house.
Okay, great. Well, that's good to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kate, did you want to come in?
Yeah, hi. A very interesting talk, and thank you for the amazing work you do. I just wanted to check that you're in touch with Happy Baby Community.
I have heard of them, but I don't know if we're necessarily in touch as in like close partnership. But
okay, well, I should put you in touch, because Happy Baby Community have several bases now. I know at one stage it was only sort of South London and here into both where we are, and they support women, and primarily again trafficked women who are pregnant or who have babies and young children, or both. And it's a tremendous organisation, and there seems to be an awful lot of correlation between you, and there should be some connectivity.
that sounds really interesting. Yeah, definitely.
Can you put your email in the chat, Minka, and I'll connect you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Juna, do you want to come in?
Yeah, hi. Hi. So, I just wanted to know, like, what's the duration of their stay? Like, do they have to sign some sort of short-term kind of tenancy or anything like that?
With the women who stay in our safe houses,
Yeah.
we have a tenancy agreement with them.
Mhm.
So, and they also sign, the house rules and
Yeah.
confidentiality agreements. And we're actually quite strict with some of the rules. So, particularly the confidentiality agreement rules. We have things like, don't disclose the location of the
No.
safe house, don't bring visitors to the safe house, and we have had to kindly ask a couple of women to move on because they broke those rules, because we do take them really seriously. I mean, we do give a warning, but then if it happens again, we do.
Yeah.
It's a mean word, but yeah, we do evict.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, because I've worked in a refuge as a domestic violence caseworker for a number of years, and it's quite similar to what I used to do. But because normally we would sign a woman would have to sign some sort of short-term tenancy where, for the first initial kind of stay, it would be for 6 months, and we would try to move them on. I just wanted to know, like, is there like a set limit to how long they can stay in these safe houses, or is it just dependent on each individual cases? I mean, how does it work?
We aim towards a program of 12 to 18 months.
Okay.
Who are like intensive stage 1 program, and that's for women in our safe houses, but also in the community. It's not, it's not that prescriptive. I mean, that's what we say, but in reality, we've had a few women in our homes who have been there for years.
Yeah.
And also women who have moved on a little bit quicker. So it all just depends case by case, but it's something we aim for, because we don't want to create too much dependency, and we do want to give the idea that it is a program, and that it isn't a forever thing. But to be honest, once women start to progress in that recovery journey, they also don't want to be in a safe house forever, because it is a little bit more strict. It's shared living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, both. Jamie had a question in the chat about what's the best contact details to get in touch to discuss the way you guys could work together. I'm assuming that's your email address.
Yeah, I'll put my email address in there. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's helpful, Jamie. What organisation? Where do you work, Jamie? Sorry, I'm not sure. Are you?
Hi there. Hi, I'm Shoreditch Trust. So
Brilliant.
we work in Hackney, but we also work with Tower Hamlets
great.
residents as well. And we have a women and children's program, but also other activities in the community that are quite good around supporting people to develop social networks and access sort of specific services.
It sounds great. Yeah, definitely. Please do get in touch.
We will be. Thank you.
Great. Does anyone else have any other questions or experiences of working in this space, or anything they wanted to share? I was actually going to ask you, Minka, about the illegal migration bill, and I guess sort of how that would affect your work and the sort of casework that you do, because I know it's got quite big implications around modern slavery, I think, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty bleak.
It's really depressing, and it's I think, it's worrying as well, also in terms of public opinion and potential support for and awareness for the issues around around our work. But at the moment, we're not. I mean, I think it will have a big impact on no recourse referrals, and it's just something that a lot of charities, I think, will, find difficult or maybe overwhelming in the next few years. But what's slightly potentially more relevant for us is the NRM reform. So they're making it more difficult for survivors to enter into that government support system, which then they're making it stricter in terms of you have to give a lot more evidence. And obviously, if you're just on your feet running away from your trafficker, and you've had your passport stolen, and you have no idea which country you're in, it's going to be very difficult to get that evidence. And so we're worried about the people who are not yet in systems of support, and won't get into systems of support quick enough, and then fall back into situations of trafficking. And we're thinking about what we could actually do in that space, but it's not something we have done before because we are all about long-term aftercare. So yeah, I don't know. It's just not good, the direction some of the political decisions that have been made in the last year or so. It's very sad.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people falling through the cracks, unfortunately, aren't there? So yes, it's quite a grim picture in terms of the policy environment for lots of people. But it obviously sounds like Ella's does amazing work, and thank you very much for coming along to present. I don't know if anyone else had any other points or questions to Minka. But if not, thank you, Minka, very much for coming on. That was really, really interesting. And I will share the slides with everyone in the newsletter, if that's all right.
Thanks so much. Yes, please do.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So we've still got plenty of time left. So we're just going to open the floor now. So this is your chance to give yourself a shout out if you want to promote something that your organisation or service is doing. If there's a new sort of form of support that you want people to know about, now's a chance. Or if you've got any questions for anyone on the call, if you're working on a particularly difficult or tricky case, or you're not sure about what's out there in a particular area, you're not sure how to make a referral to a particular council service, there's lots of people with lots of knowledge on the call. So now's your chance to chip in or ask a question. So I'm going to open up the floor if anyone wants to come in. Haven't got a chatty group today. Or if there's anything that you would like me to try and cover in a future meeting. Kate, do you want to come in?
Well, I kind of feel somebody should come in because you do such an amazing job. Somebody's got to say something. Thank you, Minka, again for that. No, I suppose what I would say is if anybody's got any ideas about how you squeeze money out of people, we, I think, we set up a kind of sort of loose organisation called the De Beauvoir Heat Exchange, which two colleagues of mine set up in conjunction with the Fuel Bank Foundation, which is a registered charity. And so we kind of like set up a system whereby local people can donate their fuel allowance, the money that all people get when they don't necessarily need it. And it becomes ring fenced within the charity. They can put gift aid on it as well. And then we use that money to give people with prepayment meters, which are predominantly on our estates here in De Beauvoir, and Haggerston and a bit on Shoreditch as well. and we give them vouchers for their prepayment meters, and it makes an enormous difference. And we're going to have this situation in another couple of months when we start to get colder, where the cost of living crisis is still biting. Thank you for doing this and continuing to do this, John. Don't stop. And I think a lot of people kind of like the summer comes and they think it's gone away, it's coming back. And so really, I just want to say something just because nobody else was saying anything. But, if anybody has any brainwaves about how you squeeze money out of people, then please let me know. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Kate. Appreciate it. When you say squeeze money out of people, do you mean like funders, or do you mean getting more people to donate their fuel allowance?
It's actually getting more people to donate their fuel allowance. And for people, we live in like every part of London, where people who live in lovely little rich houses live cheek by jowl with people who are, struggling on prepayment meters with 3 kids, no job and no prospects. And it's persuading those people are the ones that we want to say, yes, I'll give, even if somebody said, oh, well, actually, I can't afford to give you £200, but I'll give you £10 a month all over the period of a year. That's actually adds up to, a significant amount of money. It can make a difference to people.
Yeah. I guess it's difficult to think about like what are the spaces where the more affluent people come together. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a sort of like a community space or like some form. I don't know whether it would be like like PTAs or something like that. Maybe getting the local schools involved that have some of the more affluent families of the kids attending. I'm not sure. It's hard to think like where would you, how could you target that particular demographic? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I guess, we'll manage, we'll get there, we'll knock on doors if necessary. So that's what we're doing. I think there's maybe some other organisations across London that have copied what we've done because we set up a system of doing it. And I think that there may be another couple, but I don't know if there's any other in Hackney. Anyway, there's somebody else's hands up, John. You're missing out.
Yeah. Fiona, I think that's actually a good shout in the chat. Gastropubs and restaurants and businesses. Yeah, you have to go down to some of the hipster pubs, Kate, in Devovoir, and get some of them on board. Amina, did you want to come in?
Yeah, I just wanted to just come in and talk about our Parent Carers Forum, which is a new service that we've got. And the first forum meeting is actually taking place next Friday, the 29th, at the Pembury Community Centre between 10:30 and 12:30. So I just wanted to, anyone know of any parent carers caring for anyone between the age of 1 to 25 with special educational needs? The forum is a new service that's being set up so that parent carers voices can be heard, and it's linked up with health and social care as well, and getting the message and feedback across to those departments as well. So yeah, if you know of any parent carers, please do send them our way. We've got a new person that started in post. Now she's been in post a couple of weeks now, so it's all very new. So it's a learning thing for us. But if you've got any parent carers that you're aware of, please do send them to the Carer Centre.
Brilliant, thanks, Amina. That sounds really good. If you got the info to hand, if you could put it in the chat, or or you can send it to me on email, and I can put it in the newsletter if that's helpful.
Yeah, I can send it to you. I've got a flyer that Christina's produced. I can send that to you if that's all right.
Yeah, brilliant. Sounds good.
Cool. Thank you.
And is that a regular thing, or did you say next Friday?
Next Friday is the first forum meeting, and then they will be quite regular. I'm not quite sure whether they're going to be monthly or what, but we'll know more once. Christina's just obviously started new and she's getting everything sorted now. But once I've got more information, I can certainly send it your way.
Great, sounds really good. Thank you. And thanks, Jamie, for that in the chat. I think I'm including that in the news. I think I might have already been sending info about that for the newsletter, but if not, I'll just grab that as well and include that. That's really helpful. Anyone else want to come in? No? Okay, well, unless anyone else wants to give themselves promote something that they're working on or ask a question, I think we will wrap up. I will send out a newsletter next week with the slides from Minka. Thank you again, Minka, for coming along, and the info we've just discussed. And if any of you want to be brave and present at a future meeting, let me know. We're always up for having new people come along and present. So just give me a shout. Thanks, Kate. And I think we'll wrap up there. And yeah, see you next time. Thanks a lot, guys.
Great stuff. Thanks, Minka. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.